Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag for this Saturday, December 21st, is it? Is it already the 21st? It's already the 21st, 2013. My name is John Campea. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, and I am so glad that you guys are joining me today for this final installment of AMC Mailbag for 2013. And today is going to be even more low-key than normal. It's just going to be us, you and me, fellow Sons of AMC here in Chapel. If you guys watch Sons of Anarchy, you know what Chapel means. We're going to talk a little bit about the year that we've had, where we've come from, where we're going. We're going to just take a time talking with the Chatboard. There's already hundreds of you guys in the Chatboard, and we're going to talk about just some of the questions you guys want to bring up, and just like a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm so glad you decided to join me today here as a part of your weekend. And now normally I'll have somebody with me, whether it's one of my AMC staff or whether my wife Ann is with me. But Ann is actually running around the house trying to get us ready to leave because we're getting ready to go on vacation. And so it's just going to be you guys and me today sitting here talking about film, talking about AMC Movie News and where things are going. I got a couple of things to get to before we do much else. A little bit of housekeeping actually that we need to do for what's been going on. First of all, I want to update you guys on the AMC Movie Talk schedule. So yesterday was our final AMC Movie Talk of 2013. Today is our final AMC Mailbag of 2013. So you won't be seeing any more AMC Movie Talks or AMC Mailbags until the new year. However, that being said, I'm going to pop up a couple of videos between now and the new year, some special, just like from the editor's desk editorials, including I'm going to be giving my worst of 2013 list. I'm also going to be doing an editorial sometime within the next week called The 5 Things Man of Steel 2 Needs to Do. So I will be popping up a couple of special videos here and there, but AMC Movie Talk, AMC Mailbag, for all intents and purposes, is done until we get to January 2nd. And for those of you guys who have not heard about this, on January 2nd, we are going to be doing a 24-hour live streaming AMC Movie Talk marathon. We're going to go 24 hours from 10 a.m. on January 2nd until 10 a.m. on January 3rd. And the main reason that we're doing this, the only reason we're doing this really, is to help us raise money for this URL you see down here. We have partnered with the Red Cross to help support their relief efforts for the typhoon disaster that happened in the Philippines. The most powerful typhoon in recorded history hit the Philippines last month, and the need there is incredibly high. And, you know, I've got a personal connection to the Philippines, obviously. Anne is Filipino. We have family over there. Her parents were actually there when the typhoon hit. It's just devastated, the whole place. And, you know, it's great that we get to sit around here on our internet connections and talk movies, and that's awesome. But it's also pretty awesome when you and I actually get a chance to do something good and help people who really need it. So I want to encourage you guys, head on over. You can donate now. You don't have to wait till the marathon, but you can donate now by going to this URL. It's crowdrise.com/AMC Movie News Philippines. And when you get there, you'll see a big donate now button. You can click that, donate $10, donate $1,000, whatever you can. Everything is very, very helpful and goes towards a really, really good cause. So then what's going to happen is on January 3rd, after we're done the 24-hour marathon, my whole AMC Movie News crew and I are actually getting into our cars after doing a 24-hour marathon, and we're driving to Las Vegas for the annual New Media Expo in Vegas. So we're going to be in Vegas for a number of days after the 3rd, so there's not going to be regular AMC Movie Talks that week either. The regular AMC Movie Talks will start up again on January 7th. Now, we are going to put up some videos while we're in Vegas at the New Media Expo. But the regular, normal AMC Movie Talk schedule will start again on January 7th. And I'm not going to be there on January 7th because I'm staying an extra day in Vegas because the Academy of Web Television Awards is on the 7th. And as I mentioned before, AMC Movie Talk was really honored. We've been nominated for 2 Academy of Web Television Awards, one for Best News Show and one for Best Host, which was myself that got nominated for that. So I'm going to be sticking around for the 7th, and then I'll be back on the show on the 8th. and the regular schedule will be going then. So I just wanted to catch you guys up on that. Another piece of housekeeping I should let you guys know about. I told you guys the other day that we had done an AMC Spoilers review. As you know, AMC Spoilers is now one of our new shows. We'll do about 2 or 3 of those a month. We did an AMC Spoilers review for Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. And we had myself and Dennis and Team Amazian, who is Ann and our friend Kaori. Team Amazian do some videos on my other YouTube channel. And we all went to go see Anchorman 2. We came in here, we did a spoiler review for it. And then I went to upload it yesterday, and I realized, I love technology. I realized there was no audio on the video. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I don't know how I recorded an entire movie review and got no audio on it. But suffice it to say, I lost. Basically, it was lost to us. So we don't have a review for Anchorman 2. I'm really sorry. If you guys want, I'll talk about Anchorman 2 a little bit later in the show. Just let me know in the chat board if you guys want me to talk about Anchorman 2, and I'll do that. But once again, I'm really, really sorry for the lack of the Anchorman 2 review. We did shoot it. We had it all ready to go, and as it turns out, there's no audio. The last bit of housekeeping I want to do here before we get to the chat board and talking about more movie stuff is give you a little sneak peek into 2014. Now, I mentioned a couple of months ago that, AMC Movie News, this past January, in January 2013, we really started phase 1 using Marvel terminology. We started phase 1 of our AMC Movie News universe by starting AMC Movie Talk and having AMC Mailbag on the weekends. And a couple months ago, we started what we call Phase 2. And Phase 2 included moving into a brand new studio for AMC Movie Talk. We shoot AMC Movie Talk daily now from that great studio, the Stream.TV in Hollywood, California. We love shooting the show there, and you guys seem to really like the setup. It's a much more professional studio than Studio B here, my home studio that I've got set up. So we shoot that from there. Part of Phase 2 is also ramping up AMC Spoilers, which is now going to be a regular thing. We're going to do 2 to 3 of those a month. And we got a couple of new shows also starting that will be weekly. And I'm just going to let you know about one of them. AMC doesn't like me telling you guys about what we have coming up, but I want to give you just a little insight into what's coming up. One of the new shows that we're going to be starting in January, that we've been planning for a couple of months, is going to be a weekly show. And it's not going to be a long show. It's probably going to be about a 10 or 15 minute show. And it's called AMC Versus. And basically what AMC Versus is we are going to take a topic every week, along the lines of, who would make the better Aquaman? I don't know. Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy or Bradley Cooper from The Hangover. And then we're going to have 2 people state almost like a courtroom drama, stating the case for one and the other and doing rebuttals, and then we'll have somebody kind of say who the winner is, but we'll also leave it up open to voting for you guys to say who the winner was. I'm not explaining it very well, but I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that is one of the new shows that we have coming in 2014. And like I said, we do have another 1 or 2 as well that we're going to be launching, but I'm going to keep those in the bag for now. But hey, sufficient to say, thank you guys for all the support you've given us in 2013. We have come a long way from, like 2,000 people a day watching to now, like we just peaked. We just hit our highest point ever. This was our highest month. We are now getting like 3.5 million views of AMC Movie Talk videos now every single month, which is just crazy. And that includes the full shows and the individual segments we put up. 3.5 million times they get viewed. And I never would have thought that in 1 year we would get to this point. So thank you to you guys for all your support and everything that you've done to help us get to here. So I'm really, really excited. Okay, so let's get to some movie stuff here. The first thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to bring this up because I know some of you are going to bring this up on the chat board anyway, but one of the pieces of news that came out, and I knew there really wasn't going to be much news the last couple of days because, all the PR people, the studios, everybody's going into Christmas vacation. But a very interesting and kind of disappointing piece of movie news came up yesterday. As you know, X-Men Days of Future Past is coming up. And I really like the actress Anna Paquin. I think she's really good. I'm not a fan of True Blood, but I've really liked Anna Paquin in her film career and all the stuff that she's been able to do. And she is in, obviously, the first trailer for X-Men Days of Future Past. But as it turns out, Rogue Anna Paquin is not going to be in the movie. Yes, we see Anna Paquin in the trailer, but Anna Paquin, it's now official, she's out. Anna Paquin is not going to be in X-Men Days of Future Past. What happened was, apparently she was only going to be in a couple of scenes anyway. And Bryan Singer, the director, was giving an interview, and he said what happened was, as they were editing the film, they realized the main scene that Rogue, Anna Paquin, was in was unnecessary. And, if you've ever made a film, even if you've made a short film, you know how hard it is that you put a lot of time and energy and effort into shooting all the scenes, but to make the best movie possible, you have to edit. And I guess they realized that they needed to cut it down a little bit. And one of the scenes that wasn't really necessary was the scene that Anna Paquin was in, and they cut it out, essentially removing her from the film. And so Anna Paquin is out of the film. Now, Bryan Singer went on to explain that it had nothing to do with Anna's performance. He went on and on about how much he loves Anna Paquin and he'll work with her again in a heartbeat and all this kind of stuff. He just said it was the scene. We just realized the scene wasn't needed, and so we removed it. So I'm kind of disappointed that that she's not going to be in it. That's sad, because it's really cool seeing the original X-Men cast coming back. And I know there's going to be lots of original X-Men cast in there, but seeing all these other characters in there that were in the originals that I love so much, it was going to kind of be cool. And the fact that she's gone is really too bad. Now, the report went on to say that she handled it very professionally. She understands what the movie making process is, and she was only in a couple of scenes. It's not like she was like a third or fourth headline star in it and they just cut her out. She was only in a couple scenes anyway. They decided to remove it, so that's really unfortunate. And it's kind of a sad thing. So, hey guys, just gonna let you know, for the rest of the show, it's gonna be pretty informal. I'm not even taking mailbag questions. I just want to take questions from the Chatboard here. So if you guys have questions or topics you want us to discuss here on the show here today, go ahead and start firing them into the Chatboard there, and I will get to them. And one of the questions came in from Brandon Warszkowska. I hope I butcher names. I'm sorry. And Brandon is asking, "Hey John, love the show." Oh, I lost it there for a second. Sorry, the Chatboard is really starting to stream here. Hey, John, love the show. Just wondering, how do I get to do what you do for a living? And how did you end up working for AMC? Thanks a lot. Love the show, blah, blah. I get asked this all the time about, how can you... a lot of people ask, how can we do what you do for a living, John? How can we talk and be film pundits and talk about movies for a living? And how did I end up working for AMC? I will put it's not in there right now. I will put a note in the show description when I'm done here, a link to a article that I wrote a number of years ago when I was still running my old website called The Movie Blog. And because I used to get asked that question all the time, how can I, do a movie blog for a living? How can I do all that kind of stuff? So I wrote an article called 20 Tips for Starting Your Own Movie Blog. And I'll put a link to it. Or you don't even need me to put a link into it. Just go into Google and search 20 tips for starting a movie blog. And my article should be the first one that comes up there in it. And it's still, it's a number of years old, but I think the principles are still completely transferable to today. My biggest recommendation to anybody who wants to do movie punditry for a living is they don't like hearing this, but this is the truth. And this is the best way to do it. There's two routes. One, go to university, get a journalism degree and minor in film studies, or go to film school and then take some journalism classes and build up your resume that way. The other way, which is the way I went about it, because my background, I was working in law. So I didn't study journalism. I didn't study film. But what I did was, I've been a massive movie fanatic my whole life. And so back in 2003, I started a little website called The Movie Blog. And it was just for me to have some fun talking about movies, because I've been an insane movie nut my entire life. So I started a blog way before most people even ever heard the term blog. That's how long ago it was. So back in 2003, I started this movie site called The Movie Blog, and I would post like 1 or 2 stories a day. And at the end of the first month, I think I had like 15 people read my site, and I was so excited that I had 15 people reading my site. But after a year or 2 or 3 of working on it every single day, I got to the point where I was maybe posting 7 times a day on my blog. And after a couple years, I hit like 250,000 readers a month. So this was after a few years. So 250,000 readers a month, that was pretty good. And I was working in a law firm at the time, and a couple of my best friends took me out to lunch, and they sat me down and they said, John, this is an intervention. You need to quit your job because what you really love is movies, and what you really love doing is this blog of yours. So you've got some money saved away, quit your job and do your movie blog full time and see if you can turn it into anything. So I did. I moved into this like 300 square foot bachelor apartment everywhere in Hamilton is beautiful, but into the worst part of Hamilton. I moved in this little bachelor apartment with no bedroom or anything like that because I wanted to make my money stretch out for as long as I could. And I started doing the movie blog just full time. And then another year or 2 later, I hit like 500,000. And then another year after that, I hit like 1 million readers a month. And then that's when Time Magazine did an article on me and a couple of other guys about the growing influence of online film pundits, of which I apparently was one now at the time. And so what I had done was I had started a site. I had worked on it for years. I grew my readership, proved that I could develop a readership and that I had writing skill, and did it over a course of years. And then a lot of different things happened that, a company wanted to buy the movie blog from me. They moved me to Los Angeles, all this different kinds of stuff. And then ultimately, eventually, how did I end up working for AMC? Was AMC decided that they wanted to not have a really junky little website, which is what they had at the time, anymore. And they wanted to develop a real online strategy. They were visionaries in many ways, AMC, the people at AMC, they were visionaries because they knew that they needed to develop their online presence into something bigger. And so they reached out to me and they said, we want you to come and work with us and help us develop this new online entity for us. And I said, sure. And that was a number of years ago, and I've been with AMC ever since. So the moral of the story here is this. Usually when people ask me, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing, Brandon, but usually when people ask me, how can I do what you do? They're looking for an easy answer. They're looking for what can I do? What button can I just push tomorrow and be doing this for a living? The answer, you can't. But you do have a couple of options open to you. One is the traditional way. Go get a journalism degree, get a film degree. But another one is just start doing it. Because I'm telling you, I'm friends with the guys who run some of the biggest and best movie sites on the internet, like the guys over at HitFix and Vic over at Screen Rant or Frosty over at Collider or the guys at Coming Soon or whatever. And when I was back doing that and looking for people to hire, yeah, it was really good if there was journalism degrees and film degrees. That's all stuff was good. But what I was really looking for, what I was personally really interested in, was seeing what kind of experience they had given themselves. What did they do? Did they prove they were passionate enough about film to do this themselves? Did they do it for 5 years on their own or 3 years on their own? Did they prove that they could develop a readership of their own, that their writing and their communication skills were good enough that fans would want to follow them? All that kind of stuff. So that is something you can do on your own. So one of those two avenues. And once again, if you want to try to start your own movie site, I suggest, once again, search Google for 20 tips for starting your own movie blog. And my article will come up first, I'm positive. And just click on that, and the principles are transferable today. So I hope that helps. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. Let's see here. Okay, Jokervation writes, hey, John, what are your thoughts about who should play Eddie Brock / Venom if he will be in the Amazing Spider-Man universe? And should they introduce him in his own movie first? Well, we do know that Venom is coming. For those of you who don't know, Sony Studios announced last week sometime that they're expanding their Spider-Man cinematic universe. And they have a standalone Sinister Six movie coming, and they have a standalone Venom movie coming. Venom is getting his own movie. Now, do I think they should just introduce Venom in his own movie, or should he be introduced in Spider-Man first? I have a feeling they're going to introduce Venom in a Spider-Man movie first. I don't know that it'll be The Amazing Spider-Man 2. If he is introduced in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Sony's done an amazing job keeping a lid on that, because I haven't heard anything about Venom being in it, really. But that's possible. And if not that, then probably Spider-Man 3, because we're probably getting The Amazing Spider-Man 3 before a Venom movie comes out. So I have a feeling they'll probably launch Venom in either one of those. As far as who do I think should play him, it's almost irrelevant. It's almost irrelevant. I really don't care. Just get a good actor who's going to be able to act well. Other than that, don't care, because really, I'm watching Venom for Venom. I'm not super stoked about seeing Eddie Brock in a Spider-Man movie. I'm stoked about seeing Venom. So as long as they get any actor who's a good actor and can bring me into the film, playing Eddie Brock, I really don't care who it is. I really don't. I don't care what they look like. I don't care how tall they are, how short they are. I don't think it matters. All that matters is the Venom entity. That's it. And what are they going to do with Venom? That's the thing I'm most interested in. Yeah, it's different with the Hulk. I mean, the Hulk, yeah, most of us are mostly interested in Hulk rather than the Bruce Banner, but Bruce Banner's a really cool character, especially the way Mark Ruffalo played him in the Avengers, right? So it's a little bit different, because with Venom, I really don't care about Eddie Brock at all. I maybe some of you guys on the Chatboard do, and that's totally cool if you do, and you're totally justified in doing that. But for me personally, not interested in Eddie Brock, don't care who plays him, I just want Venom. And right now the board is flying by. Okay, here we go. Afi Hassan writes, okay, what if Batman Forever and Batman and Robin was directed by Tim Burton and Michael Keaton is still the Batman? What do you guys think will happen in the superhero movies in general? Because, yeah, like, I mean, once Tim Burton stepped away from those Batman movies, they took a turn for the worse. But that being said, Tim Burton's Batman is a very different kind of Batman than the Batman we have today. And I think Tim Burton and Michael Keaton's Batman was perfect for the 80s/90s. I think it was perfect for the 80s and 90s. But we have a different I think that era of Batman film had to die. I think it had to die. And even if Tim Burton continued directing them after the second Batman film, I still think they would have at some point have hit a wall and had to die, because they really were the cheesier ones. And like I said, that's what that era needed. But in order for like the new era of comic book films, like with the first Bryan Singer X-Men film, that era of comic book films needed to die first. And I think either way, that it had to die. Let's see, what else? Chris P is writing a question. Do you think they will ever introduce Green Arrow in the cinematic universe without connections to the Arrow TV show? Yeah, I have said this before. I'll say it again. I think that we are at some point going to see Green Arrow in the cinematic universe. When, I don't know. But I think eventually we will. He will be there. He's a good character. And a fairly popular character, outside. I mean, not many DC characters are super popular outside of the big three, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. But I think what we have, when you're talking about the next tier of heroes, I think Green Lantern is pretty good, or Green Arrow, is pretty good in there. But I've said this before, I will say it again. No, they're not going to be connected in any way with the Arrow TV show. I don't believe they will at all. I think that would be a really stupid move on their part. To connect the cinematic universe with the television universe is just dumb. It ties their hands. It limits you creatively. It stifles what you can do. It would just be dumb. I think you leave your hands untied and just do a television universe free from anything going on in the cinematic universe, and have a cinematic universe that's totally free from anything going on in the TV universe. I think that's just the best way to do. So I don't think that they will ever merge those two, and I don't want them to. I'm a big fan of the Arrow TV show. Ann and I do an Arrow after show. I love that show, and I don't want it in the DC cinematic universe. I like it having its own universe and the freedom to do whatever it wants. I don't want in that thing. So that's, I don't think Warner Brothers has any interest in combining the two. Amador is saying The Rock for Venom. That would be funny. I got to admit, that would be pretty funny. Let's see here. Eric Ramirez is saying, if Guardians of the Galaxy is successful, could we ever see Inhumans on the big screen? It's possible. I mean, I never would have guessed 2 years ago that Marvel would do a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Never would have guessed it. I got this has hit me right out of left field. And man, I'm telling you, I admire the stones that Marvel has to take a risk on a completely unknown comic book property and introducing it into its cinematic universe. I mean, it's crazy gutsy on their part to do it. And I love the looks of it. I mean, I really like the cast they put together. I love the director they got in on this. I love the look of the teaser trailer. I'm excited about it. How well will it do? I don't know at this point. I think they should have been, I mean, look, in Thor 2, they did have that little after credits teaser to Guardians of the Galaxy, but I thought that was a badly done post-credit scene. I thought that was just badly done. I didn't think we did anything to make people interested in Guardians of the Galaxy whatsoever. But if it's successful, look, if you were to ask me, do I think they'll ever do an Inhumans movie? No, never. I don't think they'll ever do an Inhumans movie. But then they did Guardians of the Galaxy. And if Guardians of the Galaxy turns out really, really well, I'm going to say Inhumans goes from a 0% chance to maybe a 20% chance. Like seriously, as high as 20. If Guardians makes big box office, which sadly I don't think it will, but here's hoping that it does because I think it looks great. But if it does, then yeah, I think the chances are increased dramatically. Glenn Estes writes, question, what do you anticipate will be part of Marvel Phase 3? For those of you who don't know, Marvel does everything in phases. Phase 1 was, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man 2, which culminated in Avengers. So then Phase 2 was Iron Man 3, Thor 2, The Dark World, the upcoming Captain America movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy, culminating in Avengers 2. Now, Phase 3 is what comes after that. We already know one film for sure, and that's Ant-Man, who will be played by Paul Rudd, which I think was great casting, by the way. I think that was wonderful casting. Paul Rudd wouldn't have been my pick. Like, I never would have thought of Paul Rudd for Ant-Man. But when I heard them say Paul Rudd was rumored to be Ant-Man a couple of months ago, I'm like, yeah, that works. That actually works really, really well. I'm down for that. And now it's official. He is Ant-Man. I'm excited about that. So what else will be in Phase 3? Well, here's what's been rumored. We've got Black Panther is rumored. Really, Black Panther probably should have been in Phase 2. But here's hoping. I think I will be surprised if we don't see Black Panther in Phase 3. So it's most likely going to be Black Panther. I also think there's been a lot of rumblings about Doctor Strange. I know Kevin Feige has mentioned Doctor Strange, but nothing has been made official. So I think the money says that we'll probably see Doctor Strange. So then in Phase 3, we've got Ant-Man, we've got Black Panther, we've got Doctor Strange. I do think another Thor movie is going to be a part of Phase 3. I think another Thor movie will be a part of Phase 3. They've just had really good success with that. Thor is a mythology and a universe and a character that you can really do a lot with. So I suspect that they will do a Thor for Phase 3. And then maybe a fourth one, or maybe another one, before Avengers 3. I don't think we're going to see an Iron Man again in Phase 3 until Avengers 3. I don't suspect we're going to see another Captain America until Avengers 3. So that's kind of what I see coming from there. All right, let me see if I can find some non-comic book questions. Okay, Danny Elliott is writing in, and he says, "Hey, I think instead of maybe Fast 7 giving us end credits, they should show us Paul Walker. They should show us Paul Walker's final scenes. I know they probably will put it on Blu-ray, but I think it would be better that way. Your thoughts?" No, I disagree. I appreciate the sentiment where you're coming from, but no, I don't agree that's the right thing to do. I think if anything, you do a tribute video on the Blu-ray to Paul Walker and maybe show his scenes, but I'm not even sure. I'm not sure it's respectful to show the scenes that he shot. I'm kind of the mind that you have a couple of options. I've said before, what they did with Heath Ledger, a lot of people think Heath Ledger's last film that he did was Batman, was The Dark Knight, but it wasn't. It was the Dr. Something's Imaginarium I can't remember the full name of the movie off the top of my head. Dr. Pernanthus's Imaginarium, something along those lines. So Heath Ledger was actually halfway done shooting that film when he passed away. And what the filmmakers did was they went out and got 3 other actors. They got Johnny Depp, they got Colin Farrell, and they got Jude Law to all come in and fill in for Heath Ledger, playing his character to finish the film. And I thought that was a really neat thing to do. I thought that was really, really neat. And I always kind of thought it might be neat, not that I would necessarily do this, okay? But it would be intriguing if Universal decided to keep Paul Walker's scenes and then have maybe one of Paul Walker's close acting friends, another actor, a good actor who was friends with Paul Walker, who had connections to Paul Walker, to have them come in and pick up the role. And play his role for the rest of the film. I thought that might have been really intriguing and very touching. But outside of that, I don't know that you include Paul Walker's scenes in the film at all, whether it's in the film or post-credit scene. I don't know that you do that. To me, it doesn't feel appropriate or respectful. And I know you're suggesting it out of respect. I know that. But to me, it doesn't feel right. I would personally save it for that. Jason Baker is reminding me what the name of it's the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. I was saying Dr. Parnassus's Imaginarium. Thank you, Jason, for correcting me on that. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Mike 221189 is asking, do you think Ghost Rider will be part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe part 2 along with Beta Ray Bill in phase 3? I don't think so. I think right now they have no plans for Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is one of those interesting situations where he's an R-rated character. Ghost Rider is an R-rated character. I think they have the same problem with this with Blade. Remember, Marvel didn't go out and hunt down to get back the rights to Ghost Rider. The rights to Ghost Rider lapsed back to them because Sony was done with it. Sony didn't want to have anything more to do with Ghost Rider, and they just let it go back to Marvel. But Ghost Rider, to be done right, has to be a hard R, I think. And a hard R anything, I don't think fits into the vision that Kevin Feige has for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they've got a quandary. They've got a bit of a problem when it comes to Ghost Rider and what to do with him. Because he doesn't fit. You can't pop him into a Captain America movie. There's no way there. I don't think. Watch, they do it anyway. And when I'm saying there's no way they're going to do it. But I just don't see any way that they put him into a Guardians of the Galaxy. Because Guardians of the Galaxy is a PG film. Everything in this Marvel Cinematic Universe up to this point has been PG. And so what do you do with them? I don't know. Maybe sometime in the future, they decide to do another Ghost Rider film, but they don't suggest it's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they just do it as a standalone. Maybe they create, some people have been talking about creating a second Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's a darker cinematic universe where you can put characters like Blade and Ghost Rider and some others to do stuff, maybe, but it is an interesting situation. I think I'm very fascinated to see what they do with this character. All right, Neighborator writes in, if the Warcraft film does well, can you see someone making one for StarCraft without making it look too much like Starship Troopers? I think it has a great storyline. Look, here's the thing. I don't think I'm a huge StarCraft player. I cannot tell you how many hours of my life have been donated to, the art of StarCraft. I've played an awful lot of StarCraft. But I would love to see a StarCraft film. I think the basic setup and the basic mythology of StarCraft is rich to be made into a film. Just rich. But I don't think you have to follow the exact storyline of StarCraft. I don't think you have to follow the storyline of Raynor or the Queen of Blades. I don't think you have to do any of that. I think just take the basic premise, these 3 races, and this 3-way war that develops. I think you can just take that, put in those characters, develop the story around it, and I think it's rich to be used. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I would be completely on board with that if they did. I really, really would, because I think there's some potential there. Let's see. I'm trying to find ones that are not superhero films. So if you want to fire in some questions that are not superhero or comic book films, that would be great. Some people are supporting me. Yes, StarCraft rules. It does indeed. Green Lantern, superhero films, comic book films. Come on, guys, give me some stuff that's a little bit different here than all the rest of that stuff. Okay, here's an interesting one. Going back to kind of the Paul Walker thing. Gordon Moses writes, will Paul Walker's death affect the Need for Speed movie? It seems to have a death at the beginning of the film. I don't think it'll affect Need for Speed at all. Look, every film has deaths in it. And I don't think that just because something happens in real life that you then become super shy and change your movie. I don't think they should do that. There would obviously be super extreme exceptions to that. I remember with Gangster Squad, that terrible movie that I thought was going to be so good, with Josh Brolin and Sean Penn and Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. There was a scene in that movie that was in the very first teaser trailer where some gangsters there's a gunfight in a movie theater and some patrons in the movie theater get shot. And then shortly after that trailer came out, that tragic shooting happened in a movie theater. And I believe it was in Colorado. I'm having trouble remembering, but I think it was in Colorado where that happened. And it was during The Dark Knight Rises, I believe. I think it was for opening day of Dark Knight Rises, and a bunch of people got shot in a movie theater. And and then Gangster Squad postponed their release. And they edited the film again, and they took that scene out. I can understand that. I can. That one, that is a super extreme exception, I think. But I understood that one. I mean, at first, I still think that maybe they should have left it in. But I understood their reasons for taking it out, and that's totally cool that they took that out. But in general, I mean, it's horrible to say, but I mean, in general, lots of people die every single year from car crashes. Paul Walker was not the first guy to die in a car crash. And thousands of people, tens of thousands of people die every year in car crashes. And that's a sad fact. But I don't think then you take car crashes out of movies. And I think, there are murders in the United States. I don't think that means you take murder out of movies. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where, it's a church and state thing, learning where and how to draw the line between, the art and the reality. And, I'm certainly no sociological expert. So, I mean, take anything I say on this topic with a total grain of salt, because I'm just an idiot. I mean, who cares what I think about this? But if you're going to ask me what my opinion is, I believe you don't change movies because of things that happen in reality, except for very specific, unique, and extreme exceptions. That's just kind of the way I see it. Okay. Mike, the film guy, is asking question. Hey, John, have you heard anything else regarding the new Assassin's Creed movie starring Michael Fassbender? Thanks. No, not really. I mean, the last thing we heard was Michael Fassbender coming out and admitting that he has never played Assassin's Creed and that he doesn't even own any of the console systems. And he's not a video game player. And I remember this started a little bit of a hissy fit from some of the game fans saying, how can we have a guy producing and starring this movie when he doesn't even like the game and he doesn't appreciate the game? My opinion is, who cares? He's an actor. He is an actor. Do you think him liking the game has anything to do with his acting ability? No, it doesn't whatsoever. I bring this example up all the time, but it's true. Remember that horrendously god-awful Jeremy Irons Dungeons & Dragons movie? Remember that? Right. So the guy who directed it, one of the biggest Dungeons & Dragons fans in the world. He knew everything about Dungeons & Dragons, loved Dungeons & Dragons. Ultimately, even though he had the rights to it, he tried to get other directors to do it, he decided that he himself was the best guy to direct it because nobody knew and had a passion for Dungeons & Dragons like he did. Did that make Dungeons & Dragons any better? No, it did not. That movie was still one of the worst ever made. And so having an actor passionate about the source material doesn't change a thing. Does not change a thing. Not at all. So the fact that do you think that Michael Fassbender grew up reading X-Men comics? He didn't. But did he make a great Magneto? You're darn right he did. Do you think Michael Fassbender grew up as a slave owner? No. But guess what? He's probably going to get an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for his work in 12 Years a Slave. Did he need to be a passionate slave owner in order to play one on screen? No, obviously not. That's ridiculous. I'm using ridiculous examples, obviously, here. So to say that he needs to be a fan of Assassin's Creed in order to do a good job acting in the movie is nonsense. Total nonsense, in my opinion. You may have a different opinion. That's totally cool if you do. I'm just saying from my point of view, I just don't see it that way whatsoever. Okay, so Jeremy Roke says, John, I think it was yesterday that I heard that the costume designer for Man of Steel 2 was tweaking the Superman suit and making a few changes to the costume. What do you think the reason for this is? No reason. I don't think they need to have a reason. I don't think there's any problem with touching up a costume as long as you look at the Superman costume and you can clearly see this is a Superman costume. I don't think tweaking it won't change the movie. It won't change the movie at all. So if they make the symbol of hope, the S, just 5% bigger and put an extra line on the shoulder, it doesn't make any difference. Really doesn't make any difference whatsoever. As long as they don't do something radical, like remember for a while in the comic books, Superman became this electrical being and he just wore a black unitard bodysuit. Remember that? Remember how ridiculous that was? As long as they don't do something like that, them tweaking the costume makes no difference. No difference whatsoever. I mean, I get in debates with some friends of mine who are like, well, I didn't like The Amazing Spider-Man. I'm like, why? It was like better in every way from the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And they're like, well, the costume. The costume took me out of the film. The costume? You didn't like the movie because the costume, which was clearly a Spider-Man costume, clearly. But because of the unitard he was wearing, it ruined the movie for you? Dude, you need to watch more movies. Anyway, I think it's cool. I think costume design and stuff like that are cool, extra cherries on top of the sundae stuff. I do not think they make or break a movie whatsoever. I really, really don't. I think you can see a costume and go, I don't like the costume. Or look at a costume and think, wow, I think that costume is amazing. But guess what? If a costume's amazing, it doesn't make the movie any better for me. And if the costume's terrible, it doesn't make the movie any worse for me. And then that's just me. I didn't like Magneto's outfit in X-Men Days of Future Past. I did not like the young Magneto's outfit, the one that they had at the end when he breaks into the prison. I did not like that. I didn't like the look of it. To me, it looked something sterile and something just off about it to me. But guess what? That didn't decrease my enjoyment of that film one iota. It's the costume. Who cares? So as long as they don't do something like radically different, then I'm okay with it. Personally, I'm okay with it. Okay. Darth Mischief is writing, what are your thoughts on a Dirty Harry remake starring Hugh Jackman? Well, let's start with the first part. What do I think about a Dirty Harry remake? I think a Dirty Harry remake is a pretty cool idea. There are a lot of cop films. It won't feel as unique. There's lots of rogue, renegade, badass cop stories. So a remake of Dirty Harry is not going to be as innovative or feel nearly as fresh as the original did when it came out. But I think this is a good story, and I think it's ripe for a remake. Why? Because nobody's seen Dirty Harry anymore. Next to nobody in the current movie-going generation has watched Dirty Harry, and that's a shame. So why not tell the story again? Tell it again with a fresh perspective. And with Hugh Jackman, sure, I got no problem with Hugh Jackman doing it. Do I think he's like one of the only guys who can do it? No, I think there's lots of great actors who could probably play Dirty Harry. But I'd be all for Hugh Jackman. I've got no problem with that choice whatsoever. Let's see, what else do we got here? I'm going to take two more. Danny Elliott is writing Dwayne Johnson as James Bond. I got a feeling, Dwayne, you're being a little bit facetious, but no, as big of a fan of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as I am, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Can you really? No, I wouldn't right now. Look, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has evolved from being just a former wrestler who's got lots of charm and charisma to being a guy who is a legitimate actor. He's been doing this for a lot of years now. I mean, we forget sometimes that The Rock has now been acting in film and training in film and all that kind of stuff for a lot of years now, a lot of years. And we are finally starting to see, after about 7, 8, 9 years, that he has evolved just from being the most charismatic and charming screen presence we have in the movies today to actually being a legitimate actor. He is a serviceable actor. Aside from the huge muscles and the charm and the wit and the charisma and the good looks, aside from all that, he has evolved, and it's taken years and years and years, but he has evolved into a serviceable, reliable actor. He was really good in that movie Snitch last year. I thought he was really good in Pain and Gain. He has proved he has evolved. But has he evolved to the point that I would be willing to hand over a James Bond? I know you were just joking probably with the question, Danny, but it's worth answering anyway. Do I think The Rock has become a good enough actor to actually hand over the reins to a character like a James Bond? I think the answer to that is no. I don't think he has. Plus, I don't think James Bond, I think physically he's not a good fit for it either, because James Bond is not this huge muscular monster that The Rock is. So I don't really think that that fits either. All right, you know what, guys? I just realized we've hit the 45-minute mark. So that will do it for us today on AMC Mailbag. I know this one was a lot more laid back and formal, just chatting, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time today. Thanks for joining me on the Chatboard, guys. Don't forget, I'm going to bring this up one more time. You don't have to wait till our marathon on January 2nd. Please consider donating to our efforts with the Red Cross and their typhoon relief in the Philippines. The need is huge. Please, if you enjoy watching this show for free, please consider pitching in, not by sending us money. Go send the money to people who really need it in the Philippines. Head on over right now to www.crowdrise.com/AMC Movie News Philippines and make a $10 donation, a $50 donation, whatever you can, and know that that $10 is going a really long way. It's actually putting food in kids' mouths whose houses were destroyed and right now are sleeping, under a branch or something right now. The devastation there is crazy. Just look up on Google the damage in the Philippines from the typhoon, and it'll break your heart when you see it. So please, if you like what we do on AMC Movie News, please consider going over there and making a donation. That would mean a lot to me. So yeah, that'll do it for AMC Mailbag for 2013. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me and being a part of this crazy ride that we're going on. I'm so looking forward to January and the new year in front of us, 2014. Don't forget, once again, our 24-hour live streaming AMC Movie Talk Marathon starts on January 2nd at 10 a.m. We are all done now with AMC Movie Talk episodes and AMC Mailbag episodes until 2014. But I will be putting up a couple of small editorial videos between now and then, so keep your eye open for that. So, guys, the happiest and merriest of Christmases to all of you. Happy holidays. May you spend time with loved ones, be they family or extended family or whatever. Be safe. Please don't be an idiot and drink and drive. You're one of the worst pieces of garbage on the planet if you do that, so please don't. And just be safe. Love the people who are around you. Have a great holiday season. And for me, and on behalf of all the other staff at AMC Movie Talk and AMC Movie News, thank you again for your support this year. We can't wait for 2014. So until then, my name is John Campea for AMC